My name is Kelly Paffel, Technical Manager for Invino Engineering, LLC. We are an international engineering firm focused on steam and condensate systems. Today I want to talk about steam and condensate Waterhammer, which is a part 3 of a 3-part series that we've done on Waterhammer. Waterhammer forces are extremely dangerous. What happens to a steam line when Waterhammer occurs? A steam line, even a 12-inch diameter line, can be easily removed from the pipe rack. Safety is the number one item in any steam and condensate system, and Waterhammer is a major safety issue. Waterhammer needs to be corrected immediately. We cannot say, oh, it's normal, it's abnormal. So anytime we hear Waterhammer, remember one thing, it's telling you something is wrong. So you need to come and fix it. Waterhammer prevention. How can we prevent Waterhammer? Well, number one, proper training for plant personnel. Understanding steam line startups, even steam line shutdowns. Making sure that we have correct steam and condensate designs. Is the system designed correctly? A lot of times we find brand new systems incorrectly designed, incorrectly installed, and incorrectly operated, thus causing Waterhammer. You need to have documented SOPs, standard operating procedures, for any steam and condensate line, for startup procedures and shutdown procedures. If anything occurs, the first thing anyone's going to ask you, where is your SOP? Have installation standards for steam components. If we're going to install a steam isolation valve, what needs to be part of that isolation valve? Of course, a warm-up valve for any valve that's 3-inch or larger. So those are installation standards. Properly specify and place operating steam line drips, steam trap stations on the steam system. Too many times we find a lack of steam traps in the steam system, thus condensate building up in the steam line, thus causing Waterhammer. Also, we find that steam trap stations are shut off on main steam lines, which is a critical steam trap and should never be shut off. Correct condensate connections of branch lines into the main condensate line or entry onto the top. You have to make entrance to the main condensate line always on the top of the condensate line. Never come into the side or the bottom. That's a 100% guarantee you're going to have Waterhammer. Use steam traps that are properly sized and appropriate for the application. Who's sizing the steam traps in your facility? Do they follow the standard sizing practices? Don't let vendors size steam traps. They don't know your system. You know your system. Therefore, you need to be sizing the steam traps. And just because a 3/4 inch line, connection line, is for the steam trap doesn't mean a 3/4 inch steam trap. So make sure you're sizing it correctly. Use warm-up valves on any steam line isolation valve larger than 2-inch. Do not crack open a large steam isolation valve with the hope of avoiding condensation or induced Waterhammer. This will not guarantee a safe operation. One of the major unsafe practices is people using force onto isolation valves. If you don't equalize the pressure across the isolation valve, you will need force to get the valve to come into the open position or start to come open. There is no valve that was designed for a pipe wrench or a crow's foot to be put onto the valve wheel and then 3 big people trying to get this valve to open. You will break the bonnet. If you break the bonnet, the explosion happens in 1 nanosecond. So any isolation valve out there, and this comes back to steam design and standards, must have a warm-up valve so you can warm up the system properly and equalize the pressure across the isolation valve, which then it will come open without force. Remember, do not ever use external force to open a steam valve. Waterhammer Prevention, check and repair pipe insulation. The thing is insulate. I mean, one of the fastest paybacks in the system is to insulate the steam lines. The other thing ensures you're going to have high steam quality for your end user. Condensate lines is crucial to ensure proper operation of the steam system. Too many times we find condensate lines undersized. How are we sizing condensate lines? Just because we put in a 4-inch steam line doesn't mean the condensate line is 2-inch. To me, a 4-inch steam line means a 4-inch condensate line, maybe even a 6-inch condensate line. Undersized condensate lines is one of the biggest contributors to Waterhammer. It must be sized properly. System that has a modulating control valve should have a drip leg trap upstream of the valve to remove condensate during closed condition for the valve. Don't have condensate accumulate and then open the control valve and a slug of condensate hits the heat exchanger, causing Waterhammer and damage to the heat transfer. Condensate can be delivered into a pressurized condensate return line only if proper differential is maintained across the drain device, steam trap, or control valve. Just remember the inlet to the steam drain device, steam trap, or control valve is P1. The outlet's P2. P1 must be greater than P2 at all times to ensure proper operation. The other thing, label the steam and condensate lines so people know it's a steam line or a condensate line, and they're able to track the lines down. Remove abandoned steam and condensate lines. Remove it from the system. Don't leave these lines in operation. They're just out there losing energy. And have a proactive maintenance program. Knowing the steam system has steam trap failures is just by putting a pressure gauge in strategic locations. I've been doing this for gazillion years. So if the system is operating correctly and the gauge reads 5 psi, once the gauge starts to increase in pressure 8 or 10 psi, it's telling you that you have steam trap failures and corrective action is required. You don't need fancy steam trap monitors and pay that cost. A simple pressure gauge will tell you when you're having steam trap failures. Easy solution. So my question is, what happens on Monday? Monday, we don't accept Waterhammer anymore. There's a reason for it. We have to find a reason and have to implement a solution or correction. So don't think of Waterhammer as normal. It is abnormal. The other thing is up at our website, there is 70 best practice, 28 articles, and 24 instructional videos. You can come to our website, www.invenoeng.com. We continue to add to our library. There is a technical paper up there on Waterhammer and goes through everything that we talked about in these 3 series on Waterhammer. Meantime, our approach is, short term, we do steam system engineering assessments, steam system balancing, steam system reliability, and another key part to our company is we do steam system engineering training. Long term, implementation engineering, project design, project management, full engineering support for steaming system changes. My contact information, if you have any questions regarding steam or condensate or anything on the components that are used in steam and condensate systems, please contact me here. Email me. I typically return emails within 20 to 48 hours, and I'd be more than happy to be part of your team. Have a great day. Thank you.